Greetings. I want to talk about relationships. Before you get into a relationship, you need to understand what a male or a female is. A male has 6 limbs which are commensurate with the 6 points of power. He is a prophet, priest, provider, protector, king, and responsible. The first thing God gave man was a job to guard the Garden of Eden. He gave him territory, which is the Garden of Eden. So if you're a king, you need to have territory. If you're living with your mama, it should be your house, and you taking care of your mama. Now, we all go through rough times, but we need to, lean on family, okay? But, it is what it is. If you don't have territory, you don't have anything to say, this is where you can, dictate what things happen. You can put some type of control over it. And I ain't trying to say you got to control the people in it, but you need to control the environment, which goes to protection. A lot of men find it easy to protect against things outside the home. But what about inside the home? What about, what your kids are watching on YouTube or social media? What are they feeding on? It's called social media feeds. So what do you allow your kid to feed? And even physically, are we going out to eat all the time? If you're rich, hey, no big deal if you eating at decent restaurants that are cooking conducive to a healthy lifestyle. But, if I'm eating McDonald's and fast food pretty regularly, I'm not protecting my health or my kid's health or my mate's health. And even, more so than that, how am I protecting from myself, my insecurities, my esteem issues, my fears, my anxieties, whatever it is that I'm going through? How do I come home as a man, to protect my family or even the energy of my home from the stuff I dealt with at work, the stuff I dealt with driving down the street, or just going to and fro? How do I protect from that? How do I come home? And let me take a caveat on coming home. I might not use that word right, but let me take a sidebar and talk about coming home. This is for male and females. How do you come home? Meaning, how are you present to present yourself as a gift, all the puns intended, to the people or even yourself in that energy called home? And I want to say you have to do some type of mental transition to say, I'm not out here in the world, I'm not at work, I'm at home. So I talk to people a little differently. I don't bark orders. I have to get my love energy raised so that the people with whom I say I love and live with, I can give them that sincere energy without faking it. So this is what I do. If I'm mad or upset or whatever, yes, I'm human, I get upset. I fuss it out in the car on the way home. I get it out. If I need to do some exertion because I'm there, I'll run, exercise, take a walk, whatever it is that gets my energy back to that level place to say, okay, I don't have to take it out on my kids. I don't have to take it out on my spouse. I don't have to take it out on my dog. I don't have to take it out on the walls, or whatever. And that doesn't mean, I have to go sleep with somebody before I come home just to have my mind right so I can, come home to my mate or whatever. Hey, if you got a mate, that's who you need to be sleeping with. Anyway, so with that sidebar, make sure you're able to come home and teach your children about mental health practices. Because if you don't learn and teach coping skills, it's going to be difficult to cope or for your children to cope. And life is about fruitful practices. It's about what works. It's about being in functionality versus dysfunctionality. It's too often that we as people have avoided functional purposes because we are so trying to do me or do what social media says or do these things that are not quite conducive to living right or living functionally or living in a way that promotes peace at home or with the family, or even within yourself. And the first mental health practice that I do, I talk with God on a regular basis. Am I wrong? Is the situation wrong? Is the person wrong? What do I need to do about this? Coach me up, God. Let me know what's going on. I have some older friends who are wise in marriage or life, on different levels that I talk to. And I don't have an amen corner. I do have an encouragement corner. I do have a corner that says, hey, you wrong. I do have a corner that says, just lets me vent, when I need to vent. And it's important, for your corner, the people you run to for support, to know when, you need some advice. You need some encouragement. You need to just be heard for right now, to know you enough to or grow with you, because you may be making new friends, to be that person. So anyway, that's my spiel on the protection piece and the coming home piece, which is a part of protection, because you can't come home when you throwing daggers at folks at home. Prophet, you got to speak over your life and your situations. You got to know what God supports. So you got to know the word of God and what God supports, and have a relationship with God, so to know what he's going to support for you in your life, so you can speak it over your life. So you can speak those things that be not, so that as though they were. Hebrews 10, no, is that Hebrews 11? Anyway, it's in Hebrews. I believe it's Hebrews 11:1. Anyway, priest, you need to have a praying relationship. Praying ain't just saying, God, I want this. Praying is saying, hey, God, can you put your hand on this situation, because I don't know what to do about it. It's praying in tongues. If you don't believe in praying in tongues, hey, that's your choice, but I use it. Praying in tongues helps me to calm down in situations. It helps my body to heal. It helps me to know what I don't know. I pray for wisdom every day, and I learn something every day, something I did not know before, that is conducive to me, in some area of my life. So praying is a lot of hearing from God. It's a two-way street, and that's part of relationship with God, hearing, and it's also, speaking over, asking, for guidance for those you say you love. God said he'll bless those who bless you and curse those who curse you. I'm not into cursing nobody, because I believe in reaping what you sow. But at the same time, I believe in, blessing your circle, because that's going to make you a better person, and a better person in relationships with people around you blessed. Because, the worst thing to do is keep pouring out every time your cup gets filled up. Sometimes you need something left over for yourself or whatever. Anyway, so we got responsible king, prophet, priest, provider. The biggest thing you need to provide is an area conducive for love to exchange, even loving yourself. Sometimes you need to take yourself out. Sometimes you need, to do something for your mate. I was ministering to a friend who has a child on the way, and they were going through, young couple, and he was going through the transition, with her, and just saying, man, it just seems so crazy. And I said, hey, man, you got to realize she ain't herself. She got a whole spiritual being forming inside of her. I said, let me tell you something. The best thing you can do is serve that woman, man. Rub her feet. You know what I'm saying? Just hug on her and rub her feet. You ain't got too much to say, because anything you say gonna be the wrong thing a lot of times, And a lot of times, a person got their mind made up on, what they want you to say and this, that, and the other. But I mean, the hardest thing for a man to do is try and figure out what sometimes, what his mate wants him to do when he's trying to do, what she wants him to do. I'm not saying this all the time, but in developing relationships, you're getting to know each other, and everything is not, I should know. No, I don't. You should tell me. And even in your telling me, sometimes that ain't necessarily what you need. Going back to the relationship with God, I know I'm all over the place, right? But it's still going to the provision. You have to provide, a place conducive for the love exchange. Even if that means, you the king having a castle where, the lights on, food in the refrigerator, the electricity on for AC or to cook or to heat the house up or whatever it is. That provision piece is important. Furthermore, prophet, provider, protector, priest. Okay, we got all that with men. Now, with women are a 5-point being. They got 5 limbs. The 5 points of power are garden, help meet, prophetic spirit, multiplier, and spirit of discernment. So let me go over that again. Garden, multiplier, help meet, spirit of discernment, and prophetic spirit. Okay, so garden. You have to be careful what you sow into your garden as a woman and as a mate, with a woman, because they are constantly taking in seed, and with that reception of seed, you have to make sure, what are you planting in them that's gonna grow and multiply? Are you throwing stuff up in their face, whether they do it to you or not? You need to think about that, because when you sow that negativity in her, it can take root, especially depending on her spiritual development or whatnot. Moreover, you need to be mindful of the energy that you bring in toward the house. Are you coming home frustrated? And I mean, because women are sensitive. They have that spirit of discernment. And I'm not saying, man is completely responsible for, how a woman acts or anything like that. I mean, ladies, y'all got to be responsible for how y'all act too. You got a choice in everything you do. And if you don't have a relationship with God, then, stuff just happens how it does. At any rate, the multiplier. A woman can multiply your dreams, can multiply, a lot of things. You bring, time and time again, you bring home groceries, they make dinner. You give them a house, they make it a home. Those things are just, natural for a woman who feels safe. Ladies, you will never be your true self until you feel safe to be your true self, whether at work, in a relationship. And, you got to be careful of the men you choose. And this goes both ways. Men and women, you got to be careful of the person you choose, because if you don't feel safe, you will never develop into that awesomeness that you could be, or the awesomeness that the relationship could be. So, with, if a man is not willing to serve you, he doesn't deserve you. If a woman cannot respect you or help you, what are you committing to? So, I'm trying to balance it, with male and female, but, we have to be mindful of the garden and the multiplication, as well as the discerning spirit, because that discerning spirit will notice the transparency and sincerity of what you're saying. Is the energy that you're giving to her sincere and transparent? Or what are your nonverbal language? What is your nonverbal language saying while dealing with a woman? And what's really in your heart? So these are things you got to be mindful of. Also, they are, they are prayer warriors. They have that priest element too. And they can speak over you, especially, as a man. If a woman loves you, if you love a woman, and you receive, what she's saying over you, she can speak over your life. She can tell you, something. You can tell her you got this dream, and she can come back and multiply that dream, and add things to it, because they have this as a spirit or discerning spirit, that can add to, that dream. And that help me, they can, this is why, traditionally women are secretaries, because they are so good at multitasking and helping, people meet their agenda, whether men or women. And let me tell y'all guys something. And let me tell y'all ladies something. Women follow love. Whatever they deem love is. They follow love. And if you can't love a woman, then she will never submit to you. She will never follow you. She may multiply some hell, but that help me side, it may never warn you about, hey, you may not want to do that deal with so-and-so or whatnot. So, at any rate, now that we put a foundation for what males are, what females are, how can you relate to one another? Let's think about something. Early in relationships, I didn't necessarily like that help multiplication side of a woman, because I'm young and I think I know it all, or know enough, and I had a problem with folks telling me what to do for whatever my unique makeup was at the time. I don't want to diverge in the conversation with that, but just based on where I was at the time, I had a problem with being told what to do or whatever. But I didn't know what a woman was to recognize that she's just trying to help me and give me advice based on her spirit of discernment and her multiplication of whatever my situation was at the time, and just really sincerely trying to help me. I didn't know, which led to some arguments, and obviously I ain't with the person no more, but hey, it is what it is. If you know what you're dealing with, then you can better accept their unique characteristics that are genuine to the male and female gender. Moving on. Ladies, you got to recognize guys want to fix stuff. They want the relationship to work. They want the relationship to flourish. They want to feel safe, that I can tell you my dreams and you not shoot it down, or tell me I'm stupid, or dumb, just because I got feelings or I share my feelings with you. I'm gonna tell you, the fastest way to get rid of a guy, even if he stay around, for whatever reason, you keep breaking his heart by telling him he ain't nothing, or his stuff is stupid, or, demeaning him. And it goes both ways. You do that with a woman, she's going to feel some type of way. You still dealing with a garden, and there goes back to that safety piece. If neither person feels safe in a relationship, what are you doing? You're destroying each other, So let's go back to mental health. If you're not healthy enough to be in a relationship, what does that mean? What does it mean to be healthy enough in a relationship? Okay, to be healthy enough in a relationship means I know who I am. I know what I want. I know my good. I know my bad. I know what causes me to shut down. And I'm healthy enough to communicate sincerely and transparently with somebody else to say, hey, these are my non-negotiables. These are, things I'm willing to work on. These are things that I'm working on. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but hey, this is where I am. And if we like each other enough to be able to deal with each other's, this is where I am, then guess what? We can probably function in a relationship. But let's not lie to each other and say, hey, I'm good to go because I want sex, or I want companionship, or I want somebody to talk to, or this, that, and the other. Let it be known, like, hey, I don't want a serious relationship, or I don't want this type of relationship. But if you are going to have a committed, submitted, dedicated, loyal, forgiving, graceful, merciful, and I'm letting y'all know what I speak over myself and my mate. Anyway, relationship that's balancing those things that produce the fruits of the spirit, then guess what? You need to let that be known. You need to be healthy enough to say, hey, I can forgive. I can give grace. I can give mercy. I know I'm not perfect. But I can deal with your stuff. Can you deal with my stuff? If you can't deal with my stuff, hey, let me move on to somebody who can. We all have a unique makeup and know what we can and can't deal with, And again, if you're not mentally healthy enough or emotionally healthy enough to deal with people's ups and downs, shortcomings and whatnot, then guess what? Stop. Get healthy. Heal from whatever traumas you may have had during a childhood and this and that. Reflect on the last relationship you had. What would cause it to break up? Have you forgiven yourself and that person? Have you forgiven that situation? Have you let go of the frustration? Are you steadily telling everybody about that same thing? If you are, you're not over it. You're not healed from it. You're not ready for the next relationship. And you need some lap time with God to say, hey, help me heal from this. Help me grow from this. Help me to be better. Show me myself as I am known. Show who I am. Which goes to the next point. Love. If 1 Corinthians 13 is not your definition of love, you don't love. If your definition of love is anything outside of what God said love is, then you're not loving. You have friendship love, which is phileo. You have God's unconditional love, which is agape. You have I forget the Latin word or Greek Hebrew word, whatever it is, that's about parental love. But at the end of the day, love is patient, love is kind. Love does not throw up stuff in each other's face. It's not jealous, it's not envious. It seeks the best, it hopes the best. Hopes the best out of the situation. Think about that. I hope the best out of the situation. I don't keep looking for an excuse to say something's wrong about you. I don't keep looking for wrong in you. When you keep looking for something wrong, you're going to find it. You may manifest it. Hey, we both got a prophetic spirit. Know who you are. Know what your mouth power is. Know when to shut up. About stuff. Know when to let stuff go. I can't tell you when your time limit or time frame is on healing from a situation, but I can tell you need to heal from it. You need to learn to let stuff go so that the relationship can be promoted and grow. So going back to the love, are we really loving each other? Love always wins in relationship. Love never fails. When I was a child, I spoke, understood, and thought as a child. But when I became mature, when I became a man, when I became, a grown being, and when I say man, I'm saying the mankind gender. When I became a mature being, I put away childish things. I put away negative communication. Let's talk about communication. We can give advice, but it's how we give advice. We can encourage. We can give constructive criticism, but negative comments, shots, this, that, and things of that nature, they're not conducive to the love. They're not about fruits of the spirit. I can tell you that your breath stink without saying your breath stink, get out my face. I can say, hey, let me give you this piece of gum. You see the difference? And we have to learn how to communicate to each other. Sometimes communication is more nonverbal than it is verbal. We need to learn each other's love language. Is it touch? Is it time? Is it gifts? Is it things that are intangible? Is it me writing you love letters? Like, what is this person's love language? And that's important to learn. And it's important for somebody to tell you what their love language is. If a person is telling you got to figure everything out, then guess what? That person is not healthy enough to be in a relationship. That's a sign of a controlling person. They don't want to put too much work in it. Being in a relationship is work. It's work. It's maintenance. It's like driving a new car. You get a new car. Ooh, yeah, I got this mileage. Ooh, no miles on here. But guess what? After so long, you gotta put some gas in there. After so long, you have to do an oil change. After so long, you need a transmission fluid change. After so long, you need new tires. After so long, things break down and you need new brakes. You know what I'm saying? And so on and so on and so on. If you want to keep riding that car. And of course, it needs regular car washes so it still looks good to you. Same thing with our bodies. We wash on a regular basis, if not every day, at least, 5, 6, 7 days out of the week. You know what I'm saying? You should feed yourself on a regular basis. It's maintenance. The same thing with a relationship. What do you feed in a relationship? You know what I'm saying? Good or bad, what do you feed in a relationship? And it's going to determine the health of the relationship. When communicating, we have to make sure that we make time to communicate. What are we communicating? I can send my mate a text message and just tell him how I'm feeling about him. I recognize, let me tell y'all something. I recognize that when you're not together, sometimes your hearts can be so close based on the energy that you're sharing. Sometimes just focus on the love that you're sharing. Just focus on the love that the connections that you've had, what you want in a relationship, and watch what manifests. Make a vision board with your mate. Make plans to do things. Look forward to doing things together. This is called relationship. Relationship. And I know I've defined this for, but relay, a give and take, shun, process, ship, vessel, purpose, something that's carrying you. A relationship is a vessel that allows for the process of give and take to transfer. And you have to figure out, what are we giving and taking? What process is happening during this situation? Anyway, think about where you want to go with this relationship. Do we want to be married? Do we want to be, friends with benefits? How are you defining your relationship? Now, I am all for marriage. I'm all for marriage, but it needs to be in the right context. Do we agree upon the same things with raising the kids? And if we don't agree, can we agree to disagree? If our disagreement it means that we enemies, then whoever feels that way is not healthy enough emotionally to be in a relationship. You have to be healthy enough to disagree. Everybody's not going to agree about the same thing. How can you see yourself as you are known? Going back to 1 Corinthians 13, the love chapter. How can you see yourself as you are known if you don't have disagreements? But you have to be agreeable to disagree. No, let me say that better. You have to be still okay with each other when you disagree. It doesn't have to make us enemies because we disagree. We can still be friends because we disagree. And the initial foundation of any relationship is friendship. Whether marriage, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it is, it's friendship. If you can't be friends, you will never make it. It's not going to make it. And that's the main thing you need to sow into being is friends. If you're deciding to be sexually intimate with somebody, if you're not friends, then that sexual intimacy is going to die. If you're not sowing into each other, male or female, that sexual intimacy is going to die. Everybody wants to be with a friend. Everybody wants to be with somebody that they can trust at the end of the day. We can say, I just want, sex, but it's an immature mind that says that that's all they want in a relationship. Because at the end of the day, you're not going to feel safe or the sexual intimacy is not going to last long without the true safe space to communicate. And going back to a point I made earlier, there must be safety in the relationship. I need to be safe to communicate to you how I feel. I need to be safe to allow you to communicate how you feel. We need to be safe with us. And finally, in a relationship, you define your relationship by you two, not your previous relationships, not somebody else's relationship. Y'all define y'all. You all define y'all. Don't look for social media to tell you how to be in a relationship. Look to God and look to each other to tell you how to be in a relationship. What turns you on, baby? Well, this turns me on. Baby, I don't like that. Baby, I love that. Ooh, can we do that again? Y'all define y'all relationship. And when y'all define y'all, then you're in a relationship. Then you giving and taking. Then you conversating. Then you communicating. Then you enjoying the fruits of relationship. If you can't talk to each other, you're not in a relationship. Thank you for your time. I pray that your relationships have God's wisdom so that you can know what to do even when you don't know what to do. I pray that you recognize the spirit of a thing that is attacking the relationship versus the person that's a conduit of whatever situation that's frustrating the relationship. I pray you are able to walk in love and know God's will for your life so that the person with whom you're relating, you can know whether it's a season, reason, or lifetime. This is my growth in terms of learning what good relationships are made from. God's foundation, God's word, God's will. Then you loving yourself so you can love your person with whom you're in a relationship with as yourself. If you're not healthy enough to love you, you're not healthy enough to love somebody else. And this is the real love triangle right here. We come up short all the time, but when we take it to God, we extend so much further than us coming to each other. When you can't talk to your mate, you talk to God about your mate and allow him to talk to them. You talk to him, he talks to them. If there's really love there, things will come together. So you relate spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. Notice, physical is the shortest end of the stick, other than us coming to each other. So you can have the lustful heart relationship, which is pretty much boobs and crotch, or you can have the divine relationship, which is the true love triangle. It's been 30 minutes. I'm sure you're ready for a commercial break. Have a good day.